anxiety about the unknown.
I could hear the steps.
He had all
walking up
black
the stairs.
eyes. There was no
All of a sudden, this
light in
huge
his eyes.
object with lights was on
And
top
it
of
made
us.
no sound.
The fear. Yes, this happened.
And they told me Lupita was there. She was in the park at the concert. She had a cane. It was not one, it was two people from my work team that I have no reason to doubt that they said what they saw.
Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Yes, This Happened. Today we'll hear Victoria's story. She's a successful executive, creative, and publicist in northern Mexico, and tells us a very personal story, which begins, sadly, with a family tragedy.
On January 1st, 2022, my first cousin, Lupita, was diagnosed with a brain metastasis. It's a very peculiar way to start the year. We are people of faith, so even with trying to have good hearts and generally saying positive things and having a positive mind, they are dark and sad days. A lot of anguish and a lot of confusion. That is when this image that we all have in our heads becomes a reality, when you have a fork on the road with many arrows and many signs that take you to different places. What to do, where to start, who to ask. We are not a family with cancer. We are also fortunate to be a long-lived family. I am 51 years old, and I can say that at 51 years old, if I am not mistaken, this is like the third time that I have such a sick relative. So it's not in our family. And William, she's my older cousin. And the first niece, the first granddaughter, and my first cousin. We were raised very lovingly and always feeling and treating each other as brothers and sisters. We are a family of 3 sisters and a son. And from there it's like a matriarchy because the women in my family all raised their daughters alone, except my Aunt Olivia. But that's not the real story. The story is that Guadalupe, or Lupita, or Lupe, woke up in the hospital on January 1st with brain tumors. So, going through a situation like this is complicated, but we started to see an oncologist, then another. One oncologist says one thing, the other oncologist says another. Neurologists around here, over there, looking for the origin, because it was also a metastasis, and a metastasis is that the cancer reproduced from a source. We had to look for the origin.
While Victoria is immersed in her concern for her cousin and helping to find treatment options for her, one day she receives a very peculiar call, which will turn out to be part of a paranormal puzzle made up of signs, alternative treatments, and mixed feelings.
One day, one of the oncologists, who was one of the youngest, he was very alternative, and I would venture to say that I think that maybe he was one of the oncologists that I trusted the least because of how alternative he was. He one day sent me a WhatsApp and told me to go to his office, that he had good news. I got to his office and he told me about a scientist, a herbalist who lived in a small city near where we live, which is Ciudad Juarez. And that's where this man who claims to have a cure for cancer lives. I spoke on the phone with the person, he gave me an appointment, and I mysteriously began to receive because it's life, and I'm sure it has happened to you too. If you want to buy a red truck of a specific brand, suddenly you start to see it everywhere. Or maybe if you like a girl or a boy, suddenly you start to bump into them everywhere. Well, it happened to me that I began to find references to this man literally everywhere. Literally. And that he had cured brain cancer, and that he had cured cancer of I don't know what, and that he had cured some tumors of this and that. So, well, all of this in a natural, herbal way. The month of February arrived, and it is very understandable that after, 45 days, I don't remember well, the family starts to wear out. Economic resources are running out, opinions are divided, her children are full of fear, her brother is trying to defend her life, her mother fighting tooth and nail, my cousin finally consciously, very consciously, asked me to take her to see this gentleman. She said if he has anything to give me to save my life, please take me to see him, and that's what we did. 2 of her children and I went to see the herbalist, and after seeing many things that it is not my responsibility, that I don't want to reveal because they're also personal matters and people will believe or not believe, but we did see many families from the United States traveling to this city. There were people from our place of origin, from Chihuahua, from many places, with testimonies of people who had already been cured and who brought another patient. And he told her that he had a cure, that she did have some tumors in her head, and that she needed to take, in particular, there were several things, but in particular, there were a few drops that she had to put in a glass dropper. So we were coming back. On the way back, we had a very ugly dust storm. A sandstorm where you couldn't see very far away. There were deaths on the highway that day, where nothing happened to us that day, thankfully. I don't know which angel was with us, but nothing happened to us. It took us about an hour to travel, less than a mile. It was terrible on the way back to our place of origin. However, we got home safely, and I told her I have droppers. I take CBD drops to sleep, and the CBD drops come in these amber-colored droppers. So I told her, I have one, you can borrow one, but since it took us a long time today, I didn't go to work, so tomorrow I'm going to work early, and I have these things to do, but I'm going to leave it for you at the gate of my house. And she said, yes, of course. Yes, in fact, I'm going to do some errands with, I don't remember which of her children, and I'll pick it up. So some months passed. She improved a lot at some point, and at another point she began to regress, and then she stopped taking the herbal treatment, and they started other types of treatments.
Victoria and her family have experienced emotional ups and downs for a couple of months in the search for a cure for her cousin's cancer. But the final outcome seems inevitable. When we return, a loving petition may be heard and answered.
Yes, this happened.
After months of hoping for a miracle for her cousin Lupita's cancer, the outlook does not seem to be good. But life's responsibilities continue. And Victoria's work, that sometimes takes her on trips across the country, leads her in June 2022 to take a flight to Mexico City to attend an event.
I went to see an exhibition, and when I got to Mexico City, they told me that my cousin has suffered a decompensation and that they had to hospitalize her in the emergency room. So Every single day, I asked every day, and I asked if they needed me to come back. It is worth mentioning that my cousin and I were extremely close. We were always very good cousins. Despite the fact that she was 14 years older than me, there was always a moment for me. There was always a moment of reflection, of apapacho, of accompanying each other in life. I called every day and I asked if they needed me to come back, if I could do something, and they said no. I was only in Mexico City for a short time from Thursday to Sunday. I came back on Sunday and visited her in the hospital. She still recognized me. She greeted me, but she was already speaking inconsistencies, and her stage was already final. The origin had been lung cancer, and it was sudden. So, I saw her on Sunday, I saw her on Monday, and on Tuesday, she went into deep sedation. It was a decision of not prolonging her agony. She was in pain. They told me to say goodbye to her, and I didn't want to do it. So on Tuesday, I didn't see her. And on Wednesday, I went up to her room, and she was under deep sedation. And I whispered in her ear that it was me, and that I was going to be okay. And I thanked her for the type of cousin that she always was with me, and that she was going to continue to be a great cousin because I knew she wasn't going to leave me alone. And she shed a tear. And I put some songs for her. I played them because she professed the Christian faith. I'm Catholic. But I told her, I'm going to play you some songs that you like. When I played the songs, she opened both eyes. Her 83-year-old mother told me she's listening to you, and she's happy. But she's agitated, because obviously the machines in her room wouldn't beat faster. So I told her, close your eyes. I'm not gonna play any more songs. I just played 2. And you close your little eyes, and she closed them. And we're not gonna see each other anymore, but I want you to come see me. And I wanna know that it's you. I want you to come, and I don't want to be scared.
Victoria's deathbed request to her cousin is one any of us would probably ask from a departing loved one. But how certain can we be that our loved one will hear us?
On Saturday morning, this was a Wednesday, on Saturday morning, my cousin passed away. That day I'm a publicist, but on weekends in the summer, for many years, we have sold piña coladas at cultural events. So my co-workers came from the production house. They came to my house and told me not to worry about anything, that I shouldn't go, and that they were going to sell the drinks for me. So not to worry. And that night, they came back from the event. It was a very big event. They came to us with these huge eyes, and they didn't know whether to tell us or not. I was with my mother, and my mother's 82 years old. She's my aunt's sister. And they told me Lupita was there. She was in the park at the concert. She had a cane. My cousin used a cane at some point. It was not one, it was 2 people from my work team that I have no reason to doubt that they said what they saw. Because if someone was enthusiastic with me and supported me and helped me and encouraged me not to stop making piña coladas at family and cultural events, it was her, my cousin, because she told me, that will ground you. It makes your stress levels go down from the daily executive job you have, and do simple and physical work and be happy and listen to music and see happy families. And I know that was the case. But my second oldest cousin, who was she's also her first cousin, stayed to sleep in my house after the funeral. She lives in Colorado. Her name is Rosa Isela. She came to the funeral. And in the morning, I was with my mother and Rosa Isela. We were preparing breakfast, so I opened the blind of the door that faces the street where the gate is. I opened the blind, and I see something brown on the gate. And I asked him, what's that? And Rosa Isela says, it's a dropper. It's an amber glass dropper. And I turn around and I say to them, it's lupus. It's lupus. I gave it to her for her herbal treatment. Que bárbara. She never picked it up. And then my mother and Rosa Isela began to cry and said, no. She listened to you and came to return it to you. She came to visit you, and you're not afraid. It is very difficult to tell the story without my voice breaking, but, well, the dropper is still on the fence of my house. I know that she came by. I know that she listened to me, and I don't want to remove it. I'll leave it there. All I want is to thank God for having given me the opportunity of having her close to me for so many years, to my family for giving me the faith, and to Lupita for having come to visit me. This experience may not be the paranormal that you would have wanted, but it is tangible, it is credible, and it is true. There's not a single lie. The dropper is still there.
Like faith and our deepest rooted personal beliefs, Victoria's story brings with it the security and relief that when someone leaves, it is only physically, and that existence continues in some other plane. Victoria's testimony remains with us as proof of paranormal events that transcended their dimension to meet us at ours. What do you think?